So let's begin. Introduce yourself.
Okay, sir. Sir, my name is Parsanjeet Kaur. I hail from district Poonch of Jammu and Kashmir. I have done my basic education from district Poonch itself. I graduated in the year 2020 from Christian Chandra Memorial Government Degree College Poonch. Thereafter, I did my masters in chemistry from University of Jammu in the year 2022. I have my specialization in physical chemistry. This is my first attempt for recruitment under Jammu and Kashmir Combined Competitive Services, and my hobbies include giving educational services to children.
Okay. As I can see that you're from District Punch. Can
Yes, sir.
you, uh, which of the travelers, the historically significant travelers, have passed through your district, Punch?
Sir, according to various records, we have one of the important historical traveler who was a Chinese traveler Huang Sang. He had passed through district Poonch. In fact, we also have his writings in which he mentioned this area to be famous for graphics and fine quality of horses. He also mentions that this area was centered around a headquarter known as Lohar Court, and this is present day Lauren village of district Poonch.
Okay. Prasenjit, can you tell me what happened after independence in 1947 regarding your particular district when the partition was in place? Give me the brief account of the historical events that have happened.
So, if we consider 1947 and its aftermath, Poonch has been a victim of partition. About 2.5 tehsils of district Poonch were transferred to the area which is now known as the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. At that time, one of the person in the Poonch, Mr. Ibrahim Khan, he had went to Pakistan and sought out military support from Pakistan in order to carry out a armed attack against India, particularly in the region of Jammu and Kashmir, and to topple the Raja's government which was present in Poonch. Thereafter, we had a mobilization of Indian Army under Brigadier Pritam Singh, and it was he only, and along with his other juniors, who actually rescued India from the clutches, who has actually rescued this area of the Poonch from the clutches of Pakistan, and this is celebrated every year as Poonch Link Up Day in the month of November.
Can you tell me what was there before the district Punch was created?
Sir, it was a Poonch principality under Dogra rulers.
Okay, we also have this Rajouri Punch district that we used to have. So when was it separated into two separate districts?
For the convenience of administration, the district of Poonch was bifurcated into Poonch and Rajouri in the year 1967, and since then they have been two separate districts.
Okay. Are there any places in your district precisely which are which are named as the gateway of Kashmir? Is there any place which is named as the gateway of Kashmir?
Sir, I'm not exactly sure of that.
Okay. We also have this very famous place by the name of Pahalgam of Punch. Is there anything like that?
Sir, I'm not aware of that. Sorry for that.
Okay, tell me about the Mandi village that you have. Uh, which language do people speak there?
Sir, people in Mandi speak a number of languages, but the most prominent them is Urdu. In addition to it, we also have Pahadi, which is spoken in that area.
Okay. Every district in Kashmir, in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, we have this scheme of one district, one product. So, according to that scheme, which product was allocated to the Punch?
Sir, sorry, I'm not aware of that. I will look into that. I will check that.
Okay. Tell me about the sex ratio and the literacy rate in your district.
Sir, it is about 66%, out of which male literacy is about to the tone of 77%, and female literacy is about 56%.
Why is the female literacy so low than the male literacy in your district?
Sir, there are a number of reasons for that. The very first reason, if we take, is actually our societal setup and patriarchal dominance, which is present in our society. Another reason would obviously be the school infrastructure. If we consider school infrastructure, particularly in the rural areas, that may not be that that much conducive for the girls, due to which the families may restrict their girls to reach the school. This is another reason for that. And similarly, sir, limited prospects of education. These are some other reasons.
So, given a chance, how would you, solve this issue, and how would you increase the literacy rate among females?
Sir, if I am given such a chance, I will take both short term as well as long term measures. So far as short term measures are concerned, I will ask all the people to send their girls to school, to be very under to be mandatorily sent to the school. This will be under the strict actions of the law. And for the long term approach, I will be using the support of NGOs, local politicians, religious leaders, and who will actually convince people to send their girls to schools.
Sanjeet, when is your birthday?
Sir, it is on 31st of March.
31st of March.
Yes, sir.
Can you recall any of the significant events that have happened on 31st of March this year?
Sir, no, I'm not able to recall that.
We've had very prominent pact that was signed between Assam and Meghalaya after 5 decades. It was signed on the same date, the 31st March 2022. All right, they have settled their long and old border dispute. Now tell me, if I ask you this question, that which is the financial year that you were born in?
Sir, it is financial year 99, because financial year is one year before the assessment year. So it is 99.
Which one is the birth year?
Sir, it is 99, 1999.
So 99 is the birth year and financial year is the same year.
Sir.
What is the financial year of India?
Sir, in India, we have a habit of starting financial year from 1st of April and ending it on 31st of March.
Why do we have something like starting in the middle of the year and ending in the middle of the year? Why don't we start from 1st January till 31st December?
So this is the convention started by British government way back in the year 1868. In fact, they were also having such type of system in their own nation also. Post independence, we continued the same legacy because we have a harvesting of rabi crops that take place, and it gave us an assessment of the revenue. In fact, sir, in 1984, Government of India constituted a committee under LK Jha, and that had actually recommended shifting of the financial year to from January to December. But considering issue of a certain revenue and assessment, that is why Indian government continued with same legacy itself.
Okay, what is the financial year of Reserve Bank of India?
Sir, until recently, RBI used to start its financial year from July to June. But it was, I think, last year only when RBI had shifted it to this pattern of April to March only. And if I'm not wrong, it was on the recommendations of Urjit Patel committee. RBI had synchronized both the years.
Are you sure it was Urjit Patel committee?
Then I'm not sure of that. It was either Urjit Patel or Bimal Jalal committee. One among them was there, but I'm not exactly sure of the name.
It was Bimal Jalan committee. Can you tell me what were the other recommendations of the Bimal Jalan panel?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Are you aware of the concept of RBI surplus fund transfer to the government?
Yes, sir. Sir,
What is
RBI. Sir, RBI is an entity which is owned by Government of India. So whatever is the surplus which RBI has, it transfers it to government, and that is the surplus transfer to the government by RBI.
Is it mandated under the RBI Act of 1934?
So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it is mandated because there had been
How,
some.
how does RBI earn this surplus?
Sir, RBI conducts its operations. It lends to the banks and collect the repo rate, and through all these operations, it collects the money.
Are you aware of the realized equity and revaluation balances of RBI?
Sir, no, I'm not aware of that.
So that was the actual recommendation by Vimal Jalan panel of the creation of the contingency fund dependent on the realized equity of RBI. Are you aware of that?
No, sir, I'm not aware. I will read it.
I can see that you're a master's in science as well as your optional is zoology.
Yes, sir.
Currently, we have had this very important debate regarding the dissection of frogs for the scientific study. Do you think the dissection of frogs for this particular purpose is unethical?
Sir, for research, we usually use to dissect many organisms, and frog is one such which is widely used to study the internal structures of the vertebrates. If we consider it from the aspect of the population of the frogs, we could say that it might be ethical because even in the longer run, we are going to be benefited by such research. So we have to sacrifice something, so it would be ethical, sir.
Was there any recommendation or any rule that was set by the UGC regarding this particular issue?
Sir, I'm not aware of that. Sorry for that.
All right, shed some light on the origin of birds and their evolution as well.
Sir, there are many records which consider that birds have evolved from reptiles. In fact, one of the bird known as Archaeopteryx is actually credited to be the ancestor of the birds. But sir, if we take further scientific evidences, we see that it is not Archaeopteryx, but there is some other bird which is commonly referred to as the Proavis. It is some stock which is not yet deciphered fully through the fossil records, but it is actually considered to be one that from where Archaeopteryx evolved, and subsequent to that, after evolution, we had a number of other birds also.
Okay, over the course of their evolution, what has been their adaptation in their flight system, flight adaptation of the birds?
Sir, birds are referred to as the masters of the air, and this is because that no part of their body is such that it has not evolved for the flight mode. The first thing is the lightweight of the bird's body. Their body is very lightweight. The second is the covering of the feathers on their body. The third one is presence of only one kidney. The fourth is the uricotelic nature of the birds, by which they excrete uric acid as their nitrogenous waste material. The fifth one is the modification of the forelimbs into the wings. The sixth one is the presence of the tail, which acts as a steering organ and helps them in the flight. The seventh one, relating to their brain, is the presence of a large cerebellum that helps them to sustain while flight. The eighth one is the presence of four-chambered heart that provides them with oxygenated blood. In this way, we can, and in addition to it, sir, if we consider the bones of birds, they are hold and they are known as the pneumatic bones, and this is to reduce their body weight. So these are all adaptations which birds have underwent for their aerial mode of life.
Can you tell me how feathers help them in their flight?
Sir, they actually help in reducing the resistance of the air, and within it, air clearly moves, and it also helps them to fly easily.
Okay. Are you aware of this concept in ecology, the ecological niche?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, ecological niche is actually the functional role which any species perform in an ecosystem. We have different type of the ecological niches like food niche, reproductive niche, habitat niche. These are different type of the niches, and it is said that two organisms which are having similar niche cannot inhabit the same area, because if they will inhabit in such a situation, one of them would be definitely eliminated because of the principle of survival of fittest.
Are you aware of this term ECADS?
Sir, no, I'm not aware of that.
Well, tell me some of the examples of transgenic animals. What are transgenic animals and how are they created?
Sir, addressing to first part of your question, transgenic animals are also known as the genetically modified animals. These are those animals whose genome has been modified by introducing a desired gene or genes into them from some other organisms or individuals. Addressing to your second question, there are a number of methods of creating transgenic organisms. For example, we have a method of microinjection, we have a method of retrovirus mediated creation of transgenics, and we have also another method of embryonic stem cell mediated gene transfer technique. Addressing to your third question, there are a number of examples of transgenic organisms. We have certain transgenic fishes which are known as the glowfishes. We have transgenic varieties of the mice. We have transgenic goat. We have transgenic sheep, and there are a number of such examples also.
You talked about embryonic stem cells. Can you tell me regarding the stem cells, what are iPSCs?
Stem cells are actually the totipotent cells or the pluripotent cells, which have the capabilities of unlimited division and the proliferation. And regarding IPC, that I'm not aware of the full form. I need full form, sir.
Aren't you aware of the induced pluripotent stem cell?
Yes, sir. Sir,
What?
there are there are certain cells which are not able to divide as such, but when we induce them either by a physical or a chemical or a biological agent, then they will multiply and will produce a host of other totipotent cells, and that is what known as this.
Okay, you talked about the division of stem cells. Can you tell me how do stem cells divide?
Stem cells divide rapidly by the nuclear division followed by the cytoplasmic division. The basic principle of mitotic method of division is followed in this case.
Are you aware of the stochastic differentiation in the division of stem cells?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Or there's this concept of obligate asymmetrical replication. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that. I will look into that.
Okay, we have this very important debate and issue right now that is regarding the concept of DNA fingerprinting. Can you shed some light on how the process of DNA fingerprinting is done?
DNA fingerprinting is also known as the DNA profiling. It is a technique in which two individuals are distinguished on the basis of specialized DNA sequences, which are commonly referred to as VNTR sequences in them. If we consider the procedure of this technique, in this, first of all, we take the sample from the patient. It could be a drop of the blood or a hair follicle. Soon after this sample is taken, we treat it with certain enzymes like chitin, other enzymes, such that all other cell contents would be separated and we would be getting what is the DNA. This DNA which we receive is then treated with restriction endonuclease enzyme, which will fragment it into numerous fragments. These fragments are then transferred to gel electrophoresis, where they get separated on the basis of their size. Thereafter, we have the technique of Southern blotting, in which this
Okay,
DNA gets
what are the issues? What are the issues involved with this DNA fingerprinting in India?
Sir, there are a number of issues, but the most important one is the ethical issue. To take a DNA from any person and to decipher it, it will be a violation of the right to privacy. The other issues are, sir, related to the complexity in the method of executing this DNA fingerprinting.
Are there any legislations regarding this particular concept in India?
In I'm not aware of exact legislature, but in India it is allowed under certain conditions where through by the permit of the law it is allowed.
So aren't you aware of the DNA regulation bill of 2019?
Sir, yes, I got it. I recalled that.
Okay,
That had mandated.
what are the
Sir,
key features of the bill?
that had mandated the DNA fingerprinting could be done only under certain conditions, and it could not be done in a very casual manner. And it is actually based on respecting someone's right to privacy while ensuring any investigation.
What was this issue regarding the DNA regulatory board?
I'm not aware of that. I will look into that.
Okay. We have this very recent field in the field of biology known as the synthetic biology. What do you know about it?
I'm not exactly able to show, but I think synthetic biology is something which is related to the lab creation. I think it is something like that, but I'm not exactly sure of that.
All right, I can see that your hobby is giving educational services to children. Okay, tell me some of the examples of some government schemes in your district regarding the educational sector.
So we have a number of schemes in in this aspect. Starting from the admission of the school, of the children into school, we have initiatives like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Then thereafter, we have initiatives like Midday Meal Scheme. We have a teachers training program. These are some of the important initiatives in this direction.
What is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan?
Sir, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan is one of the schemes under the umbrella scheme of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, and it aims to promote middle level education, particularly at the middle grades in the country.
Okay, tell me the evolution of India's educational policy prior to independence till now, till the new educational policy of 2020.
Sir, prior to independence, we had a number of commissions. Like we have we had Hunter Commission, we had Rayleigh Commission, we had Sadler Commission. All these were related to education. So far as during before independence, there was a controversy regarding choosing of vernacular language as a medium of education and choosing of English as a medium of education. It was Lord Macaulay and his Macaulay's plan that shifted education pattern to English. Post independence, we had the first education policy in 1948. Then, very recently, the education policy was 1986, and now we have a new education policy in the year 2020, and this is based upon the pattern of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This type of education policy is all inclusive, and it tends to meet the demand of this century.
Okay. All right, Prasanjeet, tell me why do you want to join civil services?
Sir, I come from a very humble background. I have seen from a very close quarter of my life the realities of the life and the sufferings which common people experience. If I consider my own area, I have seen people rushing all the way to Jammu for having a basic necessities of the health services. Similarly, if in the field of education we concern, we have the students who, after completing their 10th, if they want to have a career other than in humanities or in the sciences, they have to rush out of the district. Considering all such situations, I thought that I should join civil services because it would provide me the right platform from where I could positively affect life of many such people who are deprived in one way or the other, and that is why I want to join these services.
But if you want to work for the people, there are other avenues available to you as well. Why civil service?
Sir, civil services is because of two reasons. The first one is that it will give me the required power and command on the hand with which I could affect the number of people. And a second thing is that it's diversity. It will help me to function in a variety of fields. That is why.
You talked about power. Civil services comes with power. So, would you consider yourself to be a power hungry woman?
No, sir, I am not power hungry, but sir, if we consider a civil servant, an IS officer, with that of an NGO activist, naturally, sir, both of them are working for the same cause. Say, for example, education, but things which an IS officer could do that could not be at the disposal of an NGO activist. That is what I mean to say.
Being a civil servant, it is a platform wherein you can change the lives of people, but you need to have some very important strengths in your personality to be a civil servant. So, what are your strengths?
Sir, according to me, I am a very empathic person, and empathy is very much essential for a civil servant. In addition to it, I am dedicated to my job, and I am also accountable. And I think these are something which are very much essential for a civil servant, and these are the qualities which
How
I
are you
possess.
accountable? How are you accountable?
Sir, I ensure that whatever I am doing, that is fully transparent and there is nothing to hide in that. And if we see the civil servants, they have to tackle a number of issues, and there are allegations of many corruption and all that. And I think such type of accountability will help me to overtake any such issue.
And what are your biggest weaknesses? Give me three of your biggest weaknesses.
Well, according to me, my biggest weakness is my oversensitive nature. I usually have a tendency of doing things to the correct extent, and if they are not, I feel somewhat dejected. Though I am trying to overcome this, but this is, I think, my biggest weakness. Rest, I am not able to recall at the moment.
All right. You talked about your weakness being oversensitive. So wouldn't that be a problem being a civil servant if you're oversensitive about some issues?
Uh, I already mentioned I'm trying my level best to overcome this. Whenever there is an issue and I'm not able to give it my 100%, I just encourage myself that okay, this is
Give
another.
me an example. Give me an example from your life recently where you have showcased your oversensitivity.
Sir, in every individual's life, there are a number of circumstances and there are a number of situations in which what we expect or the level up to which we expect that we should perform, we are not able to do that. And at that particular moment, I get too much disappointed, and I think that is what where I show oversensitivity.
Be specific with your answer. Give me any particular event where you have been oversensitive.
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall at the moment.
Okay. If I, if do you consider yourself to be an honest individual?
Sir, to the best of my knowledge, I consider it.
So on the rate of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself in terms of honesty?
Sir, I would rate it somewhere at about 7.5 to 8, and the rest would be at the observers.
Okay. So there's a possibility that you can also become dishonest in some particular scenario. Would that be right?
Sir, it is not that, but it is everybody's individual perspective. So I will not be at all correct if I would be rating me 10 out of 10 or something like that. So it is better to rate somewhat low. That's why. Because it is dependent upon individual perspective.
Okay. All right. Tell me, if you have to write your own autobiography, what would be the title of that book?
Then I think that would be an autobiography itself, because as of now I am not someone who is that much competent or have not achieved that much thing that I could write an autobiography and on which other people would be able to comment. So I think it would be a empty title of an autobiography as of now.
I'm not saying that you're competent enough and people would be interested in purchasing that book. I'm just saying if you're somebody who has to write a book about yourself, what would be the title of the book? Forget about if people would read it or not.
Sir, I would give it the title of an autobiography only.
What kind of a title is that? Do you think it's a good title for a book?
Sir, I think as of now it is good.
Prasanjeet, tell me, how would you want people to remember you?
I want people to remember me to be someone whose presence gave them some benefit. I want them to be remembered. I want them to remember me like that.
Oh. Okay, let's conclude the session.
Okay.
Uh, we have your feedback ready. So it was very nice interacting with you. Although I could not see you because me, but I was able to hear your answers, and it was very nice. You're well researched. आपको पता है अपनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट के बारे में. You have a very good idea. You know about your own subject. हालांकि मुझे कुछ चीजें लगी that I will be sharing with you in some time. But अच्छा खासा solid knowledge है आपको. I believe कि research आपका तगड़ा है. इसमें there are some things about your district. Just go to Google and search Punch. और पुंछ की वहां पर आपको डिस्ट्रिक्ट का एक वेबसाइट निकलेगा जो गवर्नमेंट का है. वहां पर अबाउट द डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाकर यू विल गेट दीज वर्ड्स जहां पर आपको पता चलेगा गेटवे ऑफ कश्मीर, पहलगाम ऑफ पुंछ. गेटवे ऑफ कश्मीर में देयर इज अ विलेज इन द पुंछ लोरन के नाम से. उसी को हम गेटवे कहते हैं. देयर इज अ फोर्ट देयर. तो ये कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेसेस है जो खुद गवर्नमेंट ने अपनी वेबसाइट पर डाले हैं. एटलीस्ट यू शुड बी knowing the places that are mentioned in the website.
So
Regarding
that is
regarding one district one product, उसमें पुंछ को मटन और पोल्ट्री प्रोसेसिंग का प्रोडक्ट है उसमें. So that is something that you should know about. Baki, you have very good knowledge about the sex ratio, about the literacy rates. What are the reasons why we do not have a high female literacy? Hume Sang के बारे में you had very good answer. But my only concern is that sometimes my question only was who is a historical traveler that has passed through your district. You could have only said Hume Sang. पर आपने इतना डिटेल में गए आप दैट शोकेस कि आपके पास नॉलेज तो है बट इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि आपको वो सारा शोकेस करना है. तो आई वुड रिकमेंड यू कि प्लीज स्टिक टू व्हाट दे हैव आस्क्ड. समटाइम्स जब आप ज्यादा डिटेल दे देते हो इट डज नॉट लुक गुड. जैसे कि वी टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस डीएनए फिंगरप्रिंटिंग में आपने जो स्टेप वाइज डिटेल में वो स्पेसिफिक था और वो इट वाज टू द पॉइंट. बट मैंने आस्क्ड यू अबाउट लाइक ट्रांसजेनिक एनिमल्स तो आप इतना डिटेल में चले गए. आपने जैसे स्टेम सेल के बारे में बात की, देन स्टेम सेल में फिर आईपीएससी आया. तो आईपीएससी में फिर जब मैंने आपको डिवीजन पूछा, डिवीजन में फंस गया. stochastic differentiation or obligate asymmetrical replication are the way the stem cells multiple. तो आप में वो उतना ज्यादा डिटेल में मुझे लग रहा है कि यू गो इन टू मच डिटेल. तो यू शुड बी स्पेसिफिक टू द क्वेश्चन ओनली. ज्यादा डिटेल में जाओगे फिर वो पकड़ लेंगे, वहां से कुछ ना कुछ पकड़ कर आपको फंसा देंगे. ठीक है. वन मोर थिंग दैट आई रियलाइज्ड इज यू व्हेन यू डिडंट नो द आंसर, आपने बहुत अच्छे से बोला कि आई डोंट नो. पर जहां पर आपको एक इंटेलिजेंट गेस करना है और आपको लग रहा है कि मैं एक सही जवाब दे सकती हूँ, वहां पर इज इट आस्क फॉर द परमिशन. ठीक है ना. कैन आई मेक अ गेस सर, आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल पर हाउएवर आई कैन थिंक ऑन दीज टर्म्स. तो ये कुछ हाउएवर बोल के थोड़ा सटल हो जाता है. आपने आई टोल्ड यू व्हाई डू यू वांट टू जॉइन सिविल सर्विसेज. देखो टू बी ऑनेस्ट मुझे वो जवाब नो डाउट सही भी हो सकता है. आपका मकसद यही हो कि आपको कुछ अच्छा काम करना है, लोगों के लिए काम करना है, क्रिएट वैल्यू फॉर द सोसाइटी, वो ठीक है. पर you are somebody who is how many, what's your age? 23?
I'm 23.
23 एज की लड़की है and she wants to contribute to the society और ऐसा कुछ. ये थोड़ा बैठ नहीं रहा है. There is this concept, you have to be a person of your age. तो अपने हिसाब से थिंक ऑन दोज लाइंस, बी अ पर्सन ऑफ योर एज. तो आपका होना चाहिए सर इसमें फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी है, आई हैव अ क्यूरियस नेचर, आई वांट टू लर्न लॉट ऑफ स्टफ, आई वांट टू डू अ डाइवर्स वर्क. तो मेरा उसमें क्यूरियोसिटी है, मेरा इंटरेस्ट बना रहेगा. वो है मेरा एक रीजन टू जॉइन सिविल सर्विसेज, बिकॉज इसमें डाइवर्सिटी का काम काफी मिलेगा करने को. फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी है, वांट टू टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ एंड योर फैमिली. कंट्रीब्यूशन भी है, बट कंट्रीब्यूशन थोड़ा नीचे आना चाहिए. ये सीधा जब पहले ही कंट्रीब्यूशन घुस जाता है तो ये लगता है कि ये बना बनाया आंसर है. ठीक है ना. एंड यू ऑल्सो शुड हैव, बिकॉज यू आर यंग, यू ऑल्सो शुड हैव सम इमोशनल एंगल अटैच्ड टू इट एज वेल. ऐसे आपको पूछा गया व्हाई डू यू वांट टू जॉइन सिविल सर्विसेज, तो आपको ऐसा होना चाहिए कि सर देयर वाज अ ट्रिगर मोमेंट इन माय लाइफ जब डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट came to my district and I saw what drastic and transformational changes he did. और कुछ एग्जांपल्स निकाल लो, या कोई इमेजिन कर लो कोई आपके स्कूल आ गया था या कॉलेज आ गया था या कोई सीनियर आपका सिलेक्ट हो गया था, आपने देखा उसने कैसी लोगों की जिंदगी बदली, तो उससे वो ट्रिगर हुआ आपकी जिंदगी में, नहीं आपको भी यही करना चाहिए था. तो वो एक इमोशनल एंगल भी दिखाता है आपका कि हाँ आप इंस्पायर होते हो, अच्छी चीजों से इंस्पायर होते हो. तो वो चीजें इसमें डाल देनी है. मैंने आपको पूछा प्रसन्नजीत आपकी स्ट्रेंथ्स क्या है, तो आपने बोला कि स्ट्रेंथ्स में यू आर एम्पैथेटिक, यू आर डेडिकेशन है, सब कुछ है. पर जो आपने स्ट्रेंथ्स बोली, more or less we call them, these are emotional strengths that you have, you're dedicative and all that. But you should also mention some intellectual strengths, like आप में analytical and decision making ability, because that's a requirement for the civil services. आप में curiosity, because that's again आपका डाइवर्स कल्चर है, डाइवर्स काम करने का मौका मिलेगा. उसमें जब तक इंसान क्यूरियस नहीं होगा चीजें सीखने के लिए, तब तक वो अच्छा एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर नहीं बन पाएगा. तो स्ट्रेंथ जब भी बोलोगे, इट हैज टू बी इंटेलेक्चुअल एज वेल एज इमोशनल. ठीक है. फिर मैंने आपसे वीकनेस पूछी, एंड दैट इज वेयर आई बिलीव दैट आपने उस पे यू हैव टू वर्क, बिकॉज पीपल जब भी उनसे सवाल पूछा जाता है कि आपकी वीकनेस क्या है, बिकॉज इंटरव्यू का मकसद क्या है, दे वांट इंटरव्यू, आपका अंदर का व्यू चाहिए उनको, भाई। तो उसमें अगर आपकी कोई ऐसी वीकनेस निकल आती है जहां पर सॉर्ट ऑफ इलीगल टाइप की वीकनेस है, सपोज कोई बच्चा बोल देगा कि मैं हेलमेट नहीं पहनता, वो मेरी वीकनेस है, तो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड ऑफ अ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर। या ऐसी वीकनेस नहीं बोलनी है जहां पर आपके कैरेक्टर पे बात उठे। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कोई बोल देता है कि मैं एक्स्ट्रा इमोशनल या मैं ओवर सेंसिटिव, तो भाई अगर तुम ओवर सेंसिटिव हो तो केपीएस बन गए और कोई ऐसा इश्यू हो गया और तुम अपनी ओवर सेंसिटिव में ही रहे, तो हाउ वुड यू मैनेज द सिचुएशन? तो ऐसी कोई वीकनेस नहीं बोलनी जिसमें थोड़ा कैरेक्टर पे क्वेश्चन ऑन द कैरेक्टर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल। व्हाट यू शुड मेंशन इंस्टेड इज दैट सर आई एम अ वर्कaholic, मैं काम की तरफ थोड़ा मेरा ज्यादा है, तो उस वजह से दैट आई कंसिडर इट टू बी अ वीकनेस, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस नहीं बैठ रहा। और व्हाट यू कैन से इज सर आई एम नॉट टू आर्टिस्टिक, जैसे मेरे दोस्त है वो पोइट्री करते हैं, वो अच्छी सिंगिंग करते हैं, तो मेरी ये वीकनेस है कि मैं ज्यादा आर्टिस्टिक नहीं। या आप बता सकते हो सर मेरा डिसिप्लिन का इशू है, बिकॉज मैं अपना डाइट कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रही, बिकॉज आई लव फूड। ठीक है ना, तो ये कुछ ऐसी वीकनेसेस है जिसको चेंज किया जा सकता है और जिससे केएस बनने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी। ठीक है, ये हो गया वीकनेस वाला पार्ट। इंट्रोडक्शन आपका स्पॉट ऑन है, बहुत अच्छा इंट्रोडक्शन है आपका, उसमें जो चीज आपने मेंशन की उसी फ्लो में आनी चाहिए। मैंने आपको सवाल पूछा ऑटोबायोग्राफी पे, तो उस पे आई एक्सपेक्टेड सम क्रिएटिव आंसर। ठीक है ना, तो यू डॉज द क्वेश्चन, आपने क्वेश्चन को डॉज किया। अगर अगर आप उसकी जगह एक क्रिएटिव टाइटल दे देते तो वो अच्छा इंप्रेशन छोड़ देता पैनलिस्ट के ऊपर कि यस ही हैज अ क्रिएटिव माइंड इज वेल, बिकॉज मेंटल अवेयरनेस आपके सिलेबस में मेंशन्ड है। ठीक है, तो अगर मैंने झक ऐसे करके अचानक से आपको बोला कि टाइटल बता दो और मैंने परस्यू किया, परस्यू करने का मतलब मैं चाहता हूं कि आपको ये टाइटल मुझे बताओ, और आप अपने जवाब पे टिके रहे, तो वो लग रहा था कि आप डॉज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, कोई ऐसा गलत टाइटल ना निकल जाए। मगर थोड़ा क्रिएटिव होना है, अपनी मेंटल अवेयरनेस दिखानी है, वो अच्छा, वो दैट विल मेक द पैनलिस्ट्स रिमेंबर यू, आप याद रहोगे उनको। बाकी ऑनेस्टी वाले जवाब क्वेश्चन पे यू हैड अ गुड आंसर, वो भी ठीक है। व्हाट आई वुड ओनली रिकमेंड यू कि जस्ट लिमिट योर आंसर्स, स्पेसिफिक रहो, ज्यादा डिटेल में मत जाओ, बिकॉज वहां पर आप बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस छोड़ देते हो सवाल पूछने के। सेकेंडली, बी अ लिटिल क्रिएटिव इन योर आंसर्स, हर कोई क्वेश्चन क्रिएटिव वाले क्वेश्चन डॉज करने की जरूरत नहीं है, जहां पर आपको लग रहा है कि आप एक क्रिएटिव आंसर दे सकते हो, यू शुड गो फॉर इट। बाकी वर्क ऑन योर वीकनेस वाले क्वेश्चन पे। और व्हाई डू यू वांट टू जॉइन सिविल सर्विसेज, ये क्वेश्चन आता है, हर एक को आता है, तो उस पर भी एक अच्छा डिसेंट सा जवाब हो, लाइक फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी, डाइवर्स वर्क कल्चर, इमोशनल एंगल, सम इंस्पिरेशन एंड ऑल दैट। सो आई थिंक जो आपने जवाब दिए हैं और जिस तरीके से आपने, मुझे वो काफी अच्छा लगा जिस तरीके से आपने मेरे क्वेश्चन को ब्रेक डाउन किया, फिर आपने फर्स्ट पार्ट का जवाब दिया, फिर सेकंड पार्ट का जवाब दिया, दैट वाज वेरी गुड। ठीक है, तो वो दैट वाज फाइन, तो कीप इट अप। आई बिलीव यू आर अ वेरी good candidate and a potential officer, inshallah. So hopefully you'll be in the final list. Are there any questions?
Sir, how to address situation-based questions? Because I'm usually finding some problem in handling those questions. Like you mentioned about education, but found it somewhat. I'm not able to gather my thoughts correctly. So there is some issue with that.
Education कौन सा वाला क्वेश्चन?
सर कोई भी सिचुएशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन जब आता है ना, तो मैं अपने थॉट्स को उतने अच्छे से गैदर करके नहीं डिलीवर कर पाती हूँ जितना मैं एक्सपेक्ट करती हूँ, एंड दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच आई एम फाइंडिंग प्रॉब्लम।
देखो मुझे क्या लगा, टॉकिंग टू यू आई रियलाइज्ड कि गिवन अ चांस, अगर आपको टाइम मिलेगा आप एक अच्छा आंसर फ्रेम कर सकते हो, इफ यू गेट द टाइम। तो आपको क्या करना चाहिए, देयर इज अ सिचुएशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन जहां पर आपको कलेक्ट नहीं हो पा रहा कि क्या बोलना है, जस्ट टेक सम टाइम, यू कैन आस्क फॉर सम टाइम, सर कैन आई टेक अ मिनट, तो वो आपको बोलिए हाँ श्योर, तो सोचो थोड़ा, उसके बाद एक सिचुएशन का एक अच्छा सा ड्राफ्ट कर लो आंसर, तो आप टाइम ले सकते हो उधर। एंड आई बिलीव कोई भी सिचुएशन हो, अगर आप टाइम से सोचोगे, यू विल बी एबल टू हैव अ वेरी गुड आंसर, उसमें थोड़ा टाइम ले लो बस।
Thank you so much for that. Okay, sir.
ठीक है। एंड सेकेंडली, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि द पर्सन इज ट्राइंग टू ट्रैप मी हियर, तो टाइम लेने के बाद जस्ट टेक अ पॉज, फिर बोलो कि सर आई कैन नॉट रिकलेक्ट। जल्दबाजी में ना नहीं बोल देना, तो थोड़ा पॉज लेकर यू कैन से दैट आई कैन नॉट रिकलेक्ट।
Okay, sir.
फाइन,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fine. Okay, sir. Thank you so
ऑल
much.
राइट, ऑल द बेस्ट, ऑल द बेस्ट बेटा।